Back in March 1989, a document started making the rounds at CERN. Its title was super simple, almost boring. Information Management, a Proposal. But this was no ordinary memo. Nope, this was basically the blueprint for a system that would completely change how we all find and share information.
The whole thing kicks off with this one question, and it really gets right to the heart of the problem they were facing. CERN was about to launch these massive new projects, and deep down, everyone was worried about the same thing. How on earth do you manage all that complexity without it all falling apart? So, let's set the scene. We're at CERN, the European Organization for Nuclear Research. It's this hub of amazing, creative work, right? But behind all the brilliant science, there was a huge problem brewing. Information was basically just disappearing. It was like an intellectual black hole.
Here's the deal. The people at CERN all work together in this really fluid, interconnected way, a web, as the proposal calls it. But their information didn't. You had people coming and going all the time, maybe only staying for a couple of years. And when they left, all their knowledge, all the nitty-gritty details of what they'd been working on, just walked out the door with them. It was lost for good, unless, as the paper puts it, you started a whole detective investigation.
And I mean, just look at these questions. They're so basic. These aren't some deep philosophical queries. This is the stuff you need to know just to get your job done. And yet at CERN, finding the answers was practically impossible. You can just imagine the frustration, right? It was slowing everything down. So what was broken? Where was the flaw in the systems they were using? Well, Berners-Lee pointed his finger right at their structure. All the information was organized into these rigid hierarchies, or trees, like the file folders on your computer. The problem is, the real world doesn't work like that. Our ideas and projects just don't fit neatly into a tree. And this chart really shows you the core issue. A tree structure is stiff, it forces you down one path. A web, on the other hand, is flexible, it's interconnected, it actually looks like how our brains work and how people work together. The old systems were fighting against reality instead of embracing it. And man, was this frustrating. The proposal gives this perfect example. You'd be digging deep into some help system, clicking down one branch of the tree, only to get to the end and have it tell you that the info you actually need is on a totally different branch. You couldn't just jump over. You had to go all the way back to the start and begin again. It was maddening, all because there was no simple way to link from one place to another.
Okay, so if trees don't work, what's the answer? Well, this is where the proposal pivots to this incredibly elegant and honestly profoundly simple idea: a web of linked ideas. This quote right here, this is the philosophical soul of the whole project. The system shouldn't force your ideas into a box it has already defined. It should be the other way around. The information itself should create the structure. The container shouldn't dictate the shape of the content. It's a powerful idea. The big idea is actually a super simple metaphor. Forget all the complicated hierarchies. Just picture a bunch of circles and arrows on a whiteboard. A circle can be literally any piece of information, and an arrow can be any kind of relationship between them. It's a model that's totally flexible and just makes sense.
The paper gives these circles a name: nodes. A node is just the basic building block. It's a container for one thing, whether that thing is a person, a project, a document, or even just an abstract concept. And the arrows? Well, those are the links. And here's the really clever part. A link isn't just a line connecting two dots. It has meaning. It describes how those two nodes are related. This idea of a typed link is what gives the whole web its real power and richness.
Now, this idea of nodes and links wasn't invented out of thin air. It already had a name that had been floating around academia for decades: hypertext. What Berners-Lee was proposing was a way to take this cool concept and make it real, make it practical, and make it work on a massive scale.
And he'd been thinking about this for a long time. I mean, way back in 1980, he'd built himself this personal little program called Inquire that worked on this very principle. So the 1989 proposal wasn't a sudden flash of insight. It was the formal plan to take his personal tool and build a version for everybody at CERN, and maybe, just maybe, for the rest of the world.
The definition given in the proposal is so simple but so powerful. Let's just pick it apart for a second. Human readable, okay, that's key. This is for people, not just computers. And unconstrained, that's the killer feature. That's the freedom. That's the escape from the prison of the tree structure.
But a great idea isn't enough. The proposal also laid out a really clear blueprint, a set of rules that would make sure this system could grow way beyond CERN and actually succeed on a global scale. And these principles, this was the secret sauce. It had to work across different networks on any kind of computer, and it had to be able to plug into data that was already out there. But the most radical idea, the real game changer, was that third one on the list.
Non-centralization. This was the truly revolutionary idea. It meant there was no boss, no central gatekeeper you had to get approval from. Anyone, anywhere, could fire up their own server and connect to anyone else's, all without asking permission. That single design choice is the reason the web grew into the sprawling, democratic, and, yeah, often chaotic thing it is today.
And that brings us to the ultimate vision here. Because this was never just about solving a documentation problem for a bunch of physicists. This was about creating a universal system for sharing all human knowledge.
This quote, wow, it just shows you the scale of the vision. Berners-Lee realized that CERN's information chaos wasn't unique. It was a preview of a problem the entire world was about to face. He wasn't just building a tool for his lab. He was building an ark for the coming information flood.
The whole proposal wraps up with this simple but just incredibly profound question. The dream was to create one single place for any kind of information, in a way to actually find it again later. Back in 1989, that was a breathtaking, almost unthinkable idea. And today? Well, today, it's the world we all live in, a world built from the blueprint in this very document.